And on the other side, more than 200 representatives from some of China's biggest companies gathered today to listen to a telecast of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Make in India speech right over there in Beijing. This comes as an indication of China Inc., perhaps, its high level of interest in boosting its investment and manufacturing presence in India. Indian officials said they expect companies from the world's second largest economy to play a key role in Modi's Make in India campaign. This evident after setting up of two China-dedicated industrial parks in Vadodara and Pune, where President Xi Jinping visited last week. A top Chinese official said Modi's campaign could provide a great platform for Chinese enterprises to boost their investment in India. All right, joining me now to put this into perspective and get an expert view on just where things stand. Are expectations really sky high? We have with us B.B. Bhattacharya, senior economist. Also with me is our colleague Shweta Punj, senior business journalist with Business Today. Also joining us is Dr. Arvind Prasad, Director General of FICCI. He'll be with us in just a moment. Shweta, if I could come to you first. You've been going through, the finer details of this entire event. Event management is, one of the big things about this government. They know how to put it out there. They know how to make it sound loudest. They know how to make the maximum number of people, sort of respond to it. I mean, for God's sake, there was Azim Premji, Mukesh Ambani, Kumar Mangalam Birla, all of these people in the same room at this mega event. But should we worry about the details? Is it just about a loud clarion call and not much follow-up, or is it a great start?
So, I would say this is a great start. This is more like a vibrant Gujarat, but on a national level, because we've seen such events from Mr. Modi earlier as well. However, coming from a Prime Minister, I think this would be the very first, where even the previous government had focused on manufacturing. They put out a detailed manufacturing policy, but to go out there and say, please invest in my country, because the fact is, or in our country, because the fact is that in the last 3 years, Indian companies are not setting up or not investing or expanding in India. They'd rather take the money outside, set up a manufacturing capacity there, rather than deal with the red tape and the expenses, because they're so much higher. In India, you spend about 15 to 20% more because of regulatory hassles, and in a business friendly country, the highest that price or that cost can go up to is about 10%. So we nearly double. And we rank much lower on the ease of doing business, or on corruption. We are very high. So a very positive start. But of course, what's missing are the details. But then one does not expect the Prime Minister to spell out the details. Now, in the last 100 days, what have we noticed? We've seen that yes, this government is making all the right noises, and this was, of course, a very positive step forward.
But speaking more specifically, I want to ask you a much more specific question, Shweta, because you speak to business leaders and people in industry both here and abroad on a regular basis as part of your job. What's the sentiment really? I mean, this comes as a loud bang on a drum in terms of calling investment to India, assuring them that this is the place you need to set up your factories in, think about as a global manufacturing hub. How different is the sentiment now than it was, say, a few years ago?
So, Shiv, in fact, I was speaking to a very important person from a multinational, and I would not like to name the company, but he said that he would wait for another 3 to 4 months before deciding to, figure out how much he wants to invest in India and whether he wants to increase that investment in India. The other options that are coming up are Vietnam and a couple of other countries who are doing equally well, if not better. They also have good skill sets. They're much easier to do business in. So India is actually, India really needs to get its act together in the next 2 to 3 months. So to answer your question, the conversation has changed, but it's only remained at the conversation level. The sentiment is becoming positive in the sense that there is a sense of hope that great, this government means business, but has that translated to any change on ground? No. there are questions being asked on the capability of this government, because it's all well to spell out a vision, but is your government capable enough to handle the multiple things that you expect the government to do?
Yes.
If you're talking about skill development, you need to skill your government personnel.
Absolutely.
Because ultimately an investor has to deal with the bureaucrats, with the, with the lower level
With the
officers.
system. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So is your government capable? You spell out the vision, but then can it be really implemented?
Let me bring in Bibi Bhattacharya in on that. Mr. Bhattacharya, business leaders, corporate honchos around the world, this is not something they're not used to. They're used to being wooed, they're used to being serenaded by prime ministers, by country leaders across the world. Thailand, as Shweta just mentioned, Vietnam, China, of course, Indonesia, and Brazil, Latin American countries as well. So this is not something new for them, being serenaded and and being told that this is the place where you need to invest because everything is going to be absolutely beautiful here. What is different? Is there anything different about Narendra Modi's message about Make in India? Do you feel?
Well, so far as India is concerned, this is the need of the hour.
Yes.
We are desperate now. Our industry has slackened so much. From one of the top leading industrial power of the world, we are now just also player. So there is a definite need for revive the industry. Now the second step is not only revive the industry for India's consumption, but to make industry as a hub for exports like the China.
Yes.
So there is an urgent felt need. So far as Indian technology is concerned, there is no dispute. We have just seen, if you give the complete responsibility and power to a group of scientists, they can deliver. Partly maybe because there is no institutional bottleneck, there is no political interference. But when it comes to the industry, some industries given complete freedom will be able to do. We have seen some of the cases. But where they will be facing day-to-day obstacles, be it land, be it electricity,
labor laws and all of those other issues that we just mentioned.
That's where Mr. Modi's dynamic leadership, a strong message has to go around. What I am looking for, Mr. Modi maybe after returning from USA, like in the case of Bigyan Bhavan calling on industrialists, you should call a National Development Council meeting in asking all state level players, including panchayat leaders, so that telling them, look, this is the need of the hour.
Yes.
And you accept it as a national agenda.
In fact, I'm going to just take a quick break because I have to for no other reason. But when we come back, I want to pick up on what Mr. Bhattacharya, you said as about what Narendra Modi needs to do when he comes back from the United States, as well as what Shweta said when she had a conversation with her source about how they're going to be looking at the next 2 to 3 months, which means that the next 2 to 3 months and what happens in those 90 days could be extremely crucial. What needs to be done? Is there a specific prescription for Narendra Modi? How is he being advised? Prescription in 40 seconds.
In addition to what Shweta has said, I'd like Mr. Modi to invite the industrialists now to tell, look, from government side you have announced 25 strategic sectors.
Yes.
But what you are capable of doing, give us the priority. Like the MITI in Japan or Jaibatsu in South Korea, where the government and industry cooperation. So that's what is needed. Right now it is a one-sided message.
So it needs to be a conversation.
Yes. The industry should be frank in telling, these are our comparative advantages where we can do things. Because right now it's a one-sided government telling we want you to do on multiple front.
Right.
So instead I would urge next round, dialogue should be Mr. Modi inviting all the industries. You decide where are our advantages, and then industry telling, not in a vague sense, we need this support, that support, specific concrete terms.
The need of the hour is greater clarity, and for this conversation to carry on, a big healthy start is the unanimous view of what this was all about. But can this be followed up with even greater clarity and even greater amount of wooing to make India a much more attractive destination for that Make in India global hub that Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister, has dreamt about just a couple of hours before he took off for New York. Bibi Bhattacharya, Shweta Punj, thanks as always for joining us here on Headlines Today.